of Hong Kong. Next, in the year 2013, he completed his MPhil from Purba University, Nepal. Well, he services as an editor of the Education Quarterly Journal published by FOE, the Office TU. Then he also served as an editor to the history of NELPA in the year 2019. He also served as an executive committee member in the Teacher Educators Society of Nepal. He also, in the year 2022, played a role as an editor of the Journal of TESOM. Presently, he serves a role of national consultant, basically British Council in Nepal, for developing of trainer competency framework for Nepal. Sir, please come to the podium.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? Yes. Can you hear me? Is it okay? Okay. I might be Thank you very much, Madam, for a good introduction. Good afternoon to all of you. I can see very young faces here, and that reminds me of my bachelor's degree. In 2001, I have received my bachelor's degree, so I can understand the level, the aspirations of young minds who are aspiring to be future teachers. So it's a pleasure to be here in front of you, Professor Dr. Sinha, okay, and Dr. Islam. Sorry about my bad pronunciation, and Dr. Manda. Okay, so I think my team is already down there. So in today's talk, I will be talking a little bit more about some practices that teachers bring and teachers can bring in their classrooms. So in the earlier sessions, you heard a lot of things about broader theoretical framework and broader concerns in relation to teacher quality, teacher education quality, technology integration, assessment, and pedagogy, right? So here in this talk, I will be talking about something that came out of our research in Nepal that worked, the research involved teachers like you who are working as secondary and basic level or primary level teachers. So we worked over a year with teachers in Nepal in public schools, and we tried to understand how this language matter can be managed in the classroom and how students can be supported in managing the linguistic diversity in the classroom. So this issue, which came as a part of inclusion in the morning in all the talks. They talked about inclusion, they talked about equity, they talked about social justice, and so on. So I will be very much trying to connect how social justice can be established in the classroom from the teacher level. We say it has to be done, it has to be done. Yes, it has to be done, but how? So this is what I'll be talking about. So the talk of today is translanguaging as an innovative pedagogy, because we are saying that the pedagogy could be innovative, right? The pedagogy should be innovative, yes, but how innovation can come into pedagogy? So I think we need to consider this. So this talk focuses on translanguaging as one of the innovative approaches in enhancing multilingualism in teacher education. So teacher education has been very much crucial now, because teachers are dealing with a lot of diverse issues in our society and classroom. So I start with my experience of being at this level, starting with one study that I did with British Council and UNICEF including UNESCO and Ministry of Education in Nepal. So that national study talked about the role of languages in classroom. So you as teachers or potential teachers, we as teachers having an experience in teaching and teacher education, understanding the role of language in classroom is very, very important. So this study talked about the need for advocacy or for awareness. So if you are working in a classroom which is attended by students from various social groups or linguistic groups and people with different minority language backgrounds, teachers must be very much careful about their linguistic identity, their linguistic capabilities, their learning barriers that these students might be facing in the classroom, right? So whether you are an English teacher or mathematics teacher or a science teacher or any other subject teacher, language should be very much balanced and you have to manage the linguistic matter in the class as teachers. So this report talked about there is a need for developing awareness because if you use multilingual pedagogies as a starting point, then learners learn better. So this is one study that I came from. I want to cite him. Then as I was already introduced, I worked with the Ministry of Education in Nepal in developing multilingual education guidelines for the school. So this guideline goes throughout Nepal and we have also raised a lot of issues about how teachers can navigate through the linguistic diversities, linguistic challenges faced by students. And there is another report, if you want to read this, these slides will be available, so if you want to read, then these reports are available online. So that study, I worked with British Council and Nepal government in understanding what professional needs and supports the teachers and teacher educators in Nepal need. So all these different engagements also led us to a new project. The project was, we got a project entitled Empowering English Language Teachers to Adopt Multilingual Education in Nepal. So this project was funded by British Council in the UK. We had a global competition and we got this project named Ultra 2024, and that also talks about the language matter, how we manage linguistic diversity in the classroom, multilingualism, and so on. So these various engagements of mine, have highlighted that there are a lot of disadvantaging faced by students in our classroom. They are facing challenges not because they don't know the content, but because they are not supported linguistically in the classroom. So several studies said that, and based on those alarming trends, you see, if you see the data, the language matter is always alarming. You see, there are more than 7,000 languages in the world, but only 351 languages are used as languages in the classroom, in education. So that must be very trending, and that must be very alarming, isn't it? There are two ways that teachers can contribute in this alarming situation. One, they can support students in their classroom to learn or to be taught in the mother tongues or the language they know. The other thing is we might be losing the linguistic diversity. So that two. One is pedagogical problem that teachers can contribute to and solve that, and another is the language loss, the linguistic diversity, the potential loss of linguistic diversity. So the studies, recent study 2025 by UNESCO, they said that 40% of children globally do not access education in their home languages. Means children come from different home language to the classroom and they are taught or instructed in a language which is not familiar to them. So language becomes the first level barrier for children to attend the education system. That might have a lot of other consequences, like there are huge dropouts, there are backbenching kind of things, non-participation, failure, and loss of their emotional strength and confidence and so on. So this scenario is quite alarming. And if you look at Nepal's case also, we also have similar case of alarming situation because we have more than 124 languages and very few languages are used, and it says that the 68% of the current languages are endangered. They are endangered because there is no official system of developing and re-empowering and revitalizing those languages. And there is another problem because these languages are not taught in the classroom, they are not allowed to be used in the classroom. Maybe the same scenario here. Though I have read the Indian National Education Policy 2020 that promotes trilingualism, right? But still there are many other languages which are away from these three languages, Hindi, English, and the regional, for example, Bengali language here. There might be other language speaking children coming to the classroom. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to bring all the languages in the classroom at one time. It might be not possible or not feasible. But the concern is, if there are children who are suffering from certain problem that relate with language like Bengali or Hindi or English, then there is a chance that teachers can support their learning through helping them to learn in their language. So teachers do not necessarily need to know their language. Teachers can create a situation for them to use their language by themselves, while connecting through translation or engagement and classroom, pair up and so on. So there are a number of ways that students can, learn through their languages. So this scenario leads to some very pertinent questions. What is the role of teacher education institutions like this in bringing that linguistic diversity into the mainstream education system? That is one question. The other is who should be responsible? Is it always that you blame the government that they did not bring all those languages? Perhaps not. We as teachers in the classroom, right? We might need to understand and we might need to consider those ground level challenges that students are facing in the classroom, in their learning process, in their engagement, in their participation in the classroom processes, learning different languages, different subjects and so on. So who should be responsible? I think teachers also need to think about whether there is any role of teachers like you, me, everyone, to support the children who come from that situation where they neither know the official language, regional official language, or national official language, or the language of instruction in the classroom. So what can be done in the future? I think this is also one of the important things that teachers need to consider. So what do you think? How languages work in your mind? For example, most of you are trilingual, right? So you know Bengali, you know Hindi, you know English, right? You are trilingual, isn't it? At least trilingual. Our BC madam was many languages, speaking many languages, so she was very multilingual, right? But we are at least trilingual, right? So do you think our languages work separately in our minds? What do you think? How languages work? You have English, you have Bengali, you have Hindi. How do you feel about this working process of this language? They are separately working or working together?
So they are working together. There's a area in the brain called Broca's area that communicates the every languages. When we listen, like you are talking right now in English, English is not my mother tongue, right?
Yeah.
So I'm listening to it. My Broca's area is telling me that it is English. Then in my prefrontal cortex, it kind of being translated, and then I'm understanding the process.
Yes, so, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. And then you have also linked with Broca's area, which is quite interesting, thing to do, further research on linguistically. But yes, you are right, because the many languages we learn, the more benefit. Because we can have all these linguistic resources as the resources for processing our information. So I get some information through one medium, but that doesn't mean that does not translate into other medium here. What the research is pointing out is, those people who have multiple languages, they can process very quickly. Because, for example, if there is one word which is very easy for you in Bengali, you process through that word. If there is another word which is easy in Hindi, you process through Hindi. So you process through English, if you have English here. If you have other language, maybe Kannada, for example, you process through the different languages. So if you have many languages, you can process the information very much, easier and more comfortable way. Whichever it goes, right? But you understand the content. So that's why studies have shown that languages do not work separately in our mind. They work together. If languages work together, you know, as teacher, why do you teach those languages separately? That's a question. If you know that your students and every human being processes information through different languages together, why are we teaching these different languages separately? Right? So that is why the translanguaging matter is being very much highlighted now. That's a trans phenomenon. Means language 1 to language 3, you don't need to think, okay, this is language 1, this is language 2, this is language 3, and you don't need to think, okay, I have one language 1 information, I change into language 2 information, I change into language 3, you don't need to do that. It just goes automatically, you see. So that matter is known as translanguaging. So if languages work together, then there is a benefit of multilingualism. Being multilingual is always beneficial. A recent study in Harvard, they found that those people who are multilingual will have more benefit and are less likely to have Alzheimer's disease. Why? Because their mind is working so fast, so quickly. So multilinguals also have the medical benefit, multilinguals have social benefit, multilingual have learning benefits. That's why we need to go from the monolingual mindset to multilingual mindset. So monolingual mindset here means if you are teaching English and if you always want to teach English in English, you are with the monolingual mindset. There is no study which has said that teaching English in English is the only better way. There are many studies that have claimed that teaching any language or any other content subjects in multiple languages is more beneficial. But what is our practice? We are trying to teach one language at one time and in only one language. So monolingual mediums are supposed to be, let's say, defective, and multilingual mediums are supposed to be effective. So whether you go to an effective pedagogy or an defective pedagogy, this is your choice, right? Your decision. So teachers should understand, you, me, everyone, should understand that learning and teaching or teaching-learning processes or instructional processes should go through the effective medium than the defective one. So that's why studies have said that if you have multiple languages, then you can exhibit high level of empathy because you have the empathetic feeling. You have the empathy, okay, towards other things. So that is quite psychological benefit. The other is you have more stronger problem-solving skills. If you use multilingual ways, your problems can be solved better than if you use monolingual ways. That is what studies have said that UNESCO 2025 has said. And they also said that there is a greater aptitude for learning new languages. You see, multilinguals have high aptitude towards learning many languages, and that is beneficial. And better recovery from brain injuries. See, if you are multilingual, there is a chance that your brain injuries will be recovered quickly than those who are monolingual. So language is not only about pronouncing sounds, producing sounds. It's more than that, right? It's a system of organization of information. It's a system of, changing your lifestyle, creating your healthy habits, and so on. So that's why this study is quite alarming for us because they said that linguistic benefits are there in brain injuries compared to their monolingual counterpart. This is what they decided. And I also looked at what is happening in terms of language teaching in different contexts in the world. So I went to Hong Kong case, and in Hong Kong also, Hong Kong is a multilingual context. They have this Hotunghua Chinese, Cantonese Chinese, English, and many other minority languages. Hindi is there, because there are a number of Indian people living in Hong Kong. Bengali is there, Pakistanis are there, Filipinos, many languages. So there are many languages in the Hong Kong situation, and they have already adopted this multilingual schooling. So there, they will be using one language as the primary official language, and all other languages are brought and supported through different mechanisms in the classroom. But their current policy is trilingual policy. They say 3 languages at least should be the languages of the schools. So they also adopted this, and they are also developed nations. I also went to this Spanish Catalan trilingual context, where in Spanish, Catalan English, Spanish, and Catalan trilingual policy is adopted in Spain. So Catalan context, where they use this multilingual digital platform. So they use technology in creating multilingual learning environments, and they found that 98% of students fluent in Catalan and Spanish, and they could raise their English language proficiency. In 1950s, what was the conception was, learning other language is harmful, right? People said that. People said that learning English is affected negatively by your knowledge of Hindi or Bengali or Nepali. People thought like that. That is why we understood about language interference. But now, people are not thinking that way. People are thinking in the way that if you have language 1 and if you want to learn language 2, your language 1 will positively support learning of second language or third language or fourth language. If you know Korean, then you will know, it will be easy for you to learn Japanese. It will be easy for you to learn other language, every other language that you can learn. And every previous language is supportive towards learning every other language. So that's why languages are not problems. We sometimes think that, okay, my Hindi affected my English, so my English is not good. No. There is no good English. There is one English, and any English that you speak is a good English, right? If that is the case, then our previous languages are not the problems. Our languages are the supporter, scaffolding things for the future language learning process. So here they found that children who learned Spanish and Catalan languages well, they also develop fluency very quickly in English. So that's why other language learning is affected positively by other language learning skills. So in Kenya also, African context, which is a little bit developing context, there also they use this multilingual policy, and they started training 800 primary schools in primary teachers in doing trilingual or mother tongue based multilingual education. I think Indian government has now also promoted this ideology that start schooling with mother tongue and then other tongues and other tongues. So these kind of mechanism require some intervention at the teacher training level, and they also develop resources in small and regional languages, and they also develop, and then they found that the students who were taught through mother tongue based multilingual education achieved 30% higher than those who were taught in the other language. Means teaching and learning in the mother tongue is beneficial, and it affects their learning achievement. So that is also showing a positive result of language use in the classroom. And they said they increase the parental involvement. You see that? Because if you, for example, if I don't know Nepali, and my child learns through Nepali in the school, then I will not be able to support my child in the classroom, right? So yeah, if I am not a literate person in English, and if my child is taught in a school in English, then my involvement in child's learning will not be effective because I don't know English. And I will try to be away from that English kind of matter, right? So that's why if you teach in the mother tongue, then your parents know, children's parents know that mother tongue. So the child-parent interaction will be increased, right? If there is an increment in child-parent interaction, then of course there is a positive impact in learning. So studies have found that. So that's why teaching in mother tongue is quite useful. And also they say that lowering dropout rates. The World Bank report recently, they said that in those contexts where teachers supported children in learning their mother tongue, then the students' dropout was reduced. Means students were interested to go to the school because they could find their language there. They could find their language means they could also find their culture. They could also find their identity. They could also find their space in the school system. That's why the dropout rate was quite minimum, very low. Okay? So these are the benefits of language. But yeah, we know that language is beneficial, multilingual is good, multilingual pedagogies are good in the classroom. But how to do that? What was missing is teachers did not get the concrete idea of how to do multilingualism. That was missing. So in our study, we tried to, in this study that we did in Nepal for 1.5 years, with support from British Council, the University of Southampton, and Tirumala University, where I was working as primary principal investigator, we worked with teachers. We wanted to know what teachers can do by themselves to create more multilingual pedagogies. We always said that we need multilingual pedagogy, but we could not give them packets, right? So we wanted to understand if there is any possibility that teachers can work together and develop packages by themselves, develop their own lesson plans, develop their own activities to do multilingualism. And it was possible. So this is what I am going to report today. So one of the concerns that came out through this study is translanguaging very beneficial. Trans matter. I think that was also discussed this afternoon in the third talk, that he was talking about multi-sectoral things, multi-sectoral investment. Now is the time that you go across languages, because there is a huge mobility of people across contexts, right? There are Indians in UK, there are Indians in America, there are Indians in Nepal, there are Nepalese in India, so in Bengal everywhere, right? So there are sectoral, multi-identity crosses are there, intersections are there. Then in your classroom also these intersections which are in the society will be reflected, right? If our classrooms are the reflections of the society which are generated by multiple partners, multiple people with multiple linguistic and cultural identity, I think we as teachers also should create some innovative styles of teaching to address those multiple identities, linguistic identities or cultural identities, or at least you have to be responsive towards that particular dimension of diversity. So that's why this translanguaging phenomena has already come into the floor, and they have emphasized that all teaching learning processes should go through trans perspective. Trans perspective here does not mean only going across languages, can be going across culture. There is no harm in teaching others' culture, right? Or there is no harm in bringing children's culture in the classroom. Though you are teaching the broader national culture through textbooks, as Professor Acharya says, globalization, if there are national systems, then you can still contextualize those national systems as per your local context. So that makes quality, that makes innovation, and that will be effective pedagogy. So that's why being very much flexible and trying to use the languages appropriately as per the student's level, more flexibly in the classroom will be a translanguaging approach that teachers can adopt. So if your students, for example, there are students from, let's say, language 1, there are students from language 2, there is Bhojpuri speaking student, there is Maithili speaking students, there is, let's say, Bengali speaking student, Nepali speaking student, then all the students will be bringing their resources in their mind, right? When they come to the classroom, they bring their cultural and linguistic resources. So if we as teachers are able to celebrate those resources in the interaction process, that will be very effective. So there is no harm for a Bengali speaking child learning Maithili. There is no harm, right? There is no harm for Maithili speaking child learning Bhojpuri. There is no harm. The only thing is, teaching Bhojpuri does not eliminate the knowledge of Maithili. Never. Right? If I learn Japanese, that doesn't mean that my Nepali will be gone. No. My Nepali will still be there. Right? And my West Bengali will be increased. And my, another language will increase. So there is a possibility. So that's why teachers should know how we bridge those language matters in the classroom. So that kind of process is known as translanguaging matter. There are a lot of studies which have said that translanguaging, including language 1 plus language 2 plus language 3, starting with mother tongue, can be translanguaging. I'll give you some examples later. So this translanguage, you see, there are many languages. We have 7,000 plus languages in the world. Of course, all languages are not that active. I told you before that only 351 languages are in operation, in the official process, in instruction. At least there are 351 languages in the world which are in operation, which is good, right? So all these many languages are there. So multiple languages where you can mix languages together to communicate a meaning, then that works as a source for great strength. It is a source for influence. It is an energy. So translanguaging matter, which is multilingual one, can work as an energy for everyone. So that's why when you go through this matter, if you look at this, while I was traveling from Kathmandu to Kolkata, I found these terms. Look at this in the Air India plane. What was written? Keval Pathan Samagri, and it was translated as literature only. Do you agree with that literature? With that translation? The plane says in Hindi, Keval Pathan Samagri, and it translates as literature only. What does it mean? This is just translation, maybe it mistranslated, I don't know. The company knows that, right? For me, it was not a good translation. It did not give me sense actually. Because it says only reading material in Hindi, but later literature. Literature is more academic kind of work. And I would love to see something like reading material only, or only for reading, something like that, right? And if you go to the other one, which is at the Ramakrishna temple, last time Putin sir brought us there. Thank you very much. It was very insightful for me. So the three languages were there: Bengali, English, and Hindi at the end, right? I did not bring more language here because the picture was quite big. So see here, that is also translation. The first one is also translation. Second one is also translation. But if you go to the third one, what do you see there? Look. Can you read? See, there is English, there is Nepali. Okay? The other font, other than English, is Nepali, right? Close to Hindi. See, the one person is using this Hindi, so English and Nepali in the same sentence. Did you have food? Khaya na, right? Did you have food? Did you have lunch? Khaya na? Khaya na. So see, I'm using this language, two languages together. I didn't think that I should use Hindi there, I should use English there. No. Right? I started with English, I ended up with Hindi. And you understood, right? Did you understand, or was there any problem in understanding? No problem. If you can understand without any problem, that's effective communication, right? So in the classroom also as teachers, if your students do not understand something that you taught in English, why don't you translate into their language? Or why don't you ask them to think in their language and tell in English? That will be very effective. So this kind of processing, it doesn't mean English teaching, doesn't mean science teaching, doesn't mean mathematics teaching. Okay? If I start counting in English, I feel very difficult, right? But if I start counting in Nepali, I feel very comfortable. I will be very happy. I did my PhD in Hong Kong, and I was alone and no Nepali and so on. I used to walk along the big crowded city, and whenever I heard somebody like wearing sari, I felt like that person is mine, right? And whenever I heard somebody speaking Nepali, Hindi kind of language, I used to turn back and look at her, right, or him. Why is this? It is because our language are also related with our emotions, isn't it? So that's why if you start your classroom instruction through languages that children are emotionally, attached, that teaching will be quality teaching. That teaching will be effective teaching. And that has been shown through literature and research. Look at this. So what we did here is, in the project, we did an initial survey of teachers, what they do. We did the intervention through multilingual pedagogy. They develop lessons, they develop activities, they develop materials together with us. We work together, participatory action research, and we also did an online survey. So in this participatory research, we work with teachers. I think that can be a research agenda here if you want to. We work together with teachers to develop lesson plans. We work together with teachers to develop resources and so on. And we did face-to-face mentoring. We had many circles of engagement with teachers as researchers. So researcher-teacher collaboration was quite strong there in our process, and we did it over a period of 1 year continuously. And what was found is, the teachers who said no, like one science teacher said, no sir, in science should be taught in English, finished. She said that, I am a science teacher and I am teaching science in English, and science should be taught in English, she said. We were so surprised. Oh, she said she's very strict, right? Science, English. Science, English. She never thought that science teaching could be done in other language than English. She did not think that, right? But over the period of time, through our research, she changed a lot of things about our stand in using language in the classroom. Do you think science should be taught always in English? What do you think? Is there any science teacher? Maths teacher? Is there any maths teacher? No maths teacher. Which teacher is there then? English teachers? Any English teachers?
We are future teachers, but really.
I mean, if you are in, let's say, science subject, you are in science?
Yes.
Okay. So do you think science should be taught in English? Is it?
So the terminology should be taught in English. Like if I say endocrinology, that translates into Bengali is something called Ontokhara Gronthi, and that is too much difficult for students to recall and remember. So I think the terminology should be taught in English, but the process, how it works, how the system goes on, how the process is done, that should be taught in Bengali or any kind of language.
Yes. Or through explanation also you can use, right? Your local language in teaching science. Yes. So yeah, thank you very much. I think it was useful. So what happened is, what we found is, this research in multilingual pedagogy was quite useful for teachers' professional knowledge and skills, because the teachers in the very beginning were resistant to change. They are very much resistant. They didn't want to use other languages in teaching and learning. But in the later stage, they accepted, oh yes, it was very useful, because they did the activities in the classroom. They found students' engagement very interactive, very useful. That they said, oh yeah, it is very useful. So there is a kind of change in teachers' mindset, from the resistance to acceptance. They started the value of languages, and they started this innovation in language use in the classroom, very useful. The other thing is, they said that they improved socially and linguistically the pedagogy skills. So they developed, they said, sir, we did not know this could be possible. But now it is, they knew that it is possible. So they thought it was impossible, some activity is impossible, but they moved towards possibility and they realized that it is possible. So there is an innovation. There is a change in terms of how they understood, right? So in students level also, students' engagement improved a lot. Those students who were always sitting in the back, they could not engage in the classroom before. But after this research, through this intervention, after the research, we found that all the students were equally participated, because the teachers used different activities like group work, multilingual creation of multilingual learning maps, walls, engagement, all activities, and so on. So there is huge student engagement. If there is more engagement, of course there is more learning, right? So the learning was improved because there was high level of student engagement in this process. And they also developed their participation and creativity, because there are a number of creative ideas coming. I'll show you some examples here. I think I don't have much time, so I should be very quick. And then teachers' professional attitude. You see, in the very beginning, we explored what teachers know, and we experimented the project on multilingual pedagogy, and we also did the evaluation. So across all these stages of this project, the teachers reflected their progress, their attitude, and so on. And we found that teachers were very much positive toward languages. They were very happy, and they also found that their students learned much more than before. And especially those students who were backbenchers, those students who never talked in the classroom when they were teaching English in English, mathematics in English, science in English. And when the teachers started allowing their local languages in the classroom, then their science learning was better, mathematics learning was better, and even English learning was better. So there is a learning benefit for children when they are taught through languages. See what happened? Very simple examples. This is one of the public schools that I worked through, and then what worked, real classroom example you see there. Teachers with low classroom participation created word walls, posters, and stories using 3 to 5 languages. Before they were using only one language and they were not participating much. But now they are using 5 different languages having high participation and also learning better. Because the Maithili student was learning together with Newari student, and the lesson content was classroom content, the textbook content, the course content. So they are learning the same content through different language support system. That's why they created these kind of walls, they created posters by themselves, they created, very much, like emotional attachment towards their home languages, and the hesitant students started to engage, showing that language choice unlocks learning. So if your learning is stopped, if your children's learning stops somewhere, please remember that you might have created some language barriers. So unlock the barrier through translanguaging or multiple languaging. So that will help you to improve your children's learning. And that makes quality. So quality learning does not always mean marks. It doesn't always mean grades. Of course, grades are important because they are used as benchmarks. But getting good grades also requires certain procedural engagement. In the process, language can be a barrier. So if you can unlock the language barrier, I think learning will be better, effective, and of high quality. So this is what this study shows. The other activity, look at this, these students have created multilingual walls. What they did is, for example, they have to learn about electricity, or let's say they have to learn about sounds, or types of sounds, or types of swirls, whatever. Then one group talked about types of swirls, and they discussed it in their languages, and they wrote something in one language. And the group wrote in another language, and the group wrote in another language. And all groups went together to create a holistic learning in the same language, which is official language. So many languages came in, the final output came out in the official language. So there was no harm in learning in those languages. Because if we had said that do in English only, they would not do that. Because they hesitate and they are already afraid of creating problems, creating mistakes, right? Making mistakes. But if we allowed them to use their language, then they started creating their own. They were so happy, working together, talking with each other, interacting, and then they created. So these creations were quite useful. See? So that's why they created posters. They started storytelling. In one study, what we did, there was one lady who never participated in English class. And the teacher said that she's not smart, she doesn't study, and something like that. And we started a small project. The project was multilingual storytelling project with the professor from University of Essex. And we allowed students, said to students that write a story in whatever language you like. And that lady wrote a language in Tamang language. And we did the competition in the school, and that story was the first story. Top story in the classroom. So the student who was facing language barrier was the top students later if you allow the students to use the local language. You see? So these kind of potential are there, and these are just hidden because of your language problems, language barriers in the classroom. So teachers should be very much careful about that. If you want to include those students who have potential but not showing well because of certain barrier, and language could be one of the barriers. So if you want to do innovative pedagogy here and sustainable future learning, then language should be considered as one of the important part of your teaching and learning. So this is what we did. Look at the productions of students. See sample activity outcomes. They never thought that they will do like this. If you look at those pictures, some have translated, some have trans language. You see, 4 or 5 different languages are there in the classroom. They have created those posters. You see, they have translated words by themselves and so on. So it was very fun. It was very creative. And it was very useful, and when they were measured at the end, their performance was excellent. Meaning that students with low performance brought a lot of innovative ideas through their engagement in the classroom. So a simple research shows that, like this, shows that there is a benefit that students benefit in supporting children in their mother tongue or local language. So I think the Indian, current, emphasis on multiple languages or multilingualism should be promoted through intervention in teachers, investing in teachers. So in pre-service teacher education, I think the educators here, they should think about how teachers should be skilled in bringing those multiple languages in the classroom to support students' learning. So I think this is to be considered. That's why this translanguaging pedagogy is very useful for developing teachers' capabilities, for sustainable learning, for inclusive learning environment in the classroom, and for better understanding. So these are some key benefits, and this work through a circle. See, this study shows that through translanguaging multilingual approach, teachers' awareness was improved. They develop positive attitude. Students and teachers both develop positive attitude toward language use in the classroom, and they develop skills, and they also develop these activities, which are practice-based activities. So that's why what we can do in the future is, I think we should develop some long-term and short-term plans in supporting children in their learning. So what you can do, we can see how we can train teachers to use multiple languages, 2-3 languages, and they can be provided with small and short-term trainings. And these trainings can be embedded as broader pedagogical, agenda. So that goes into the national level and how language can be used as a national policies. And in the long term, we have to develop the materials, courses, and so on. So you cannot write a textbook in one day, so it takes time. But you can still develop one activity, one reading material in one day, and help them in the classroom. So start with very simple, short-term plans to long-term plans in the future. So let's start with small-scale projects that can engage teachers to develop those materials. Then we can create low-cost materials, like indigenous pedagogy-oriented materials, right? Like this here, we have brought this, made this by bamboo. Looks like a cloth, but it's bamboo, right? So this is indigenous technology and orientation towards this. So if we can do all these things together collectively through research, I think we can improve in the future. So the first thing we have to do is multilingual teaching is not just about language. It is about access. It is about inclusion. And it is about learning through social justice approach. So if you use multiple languages in the classroom, you are creating inclusive learning environment, supporting effective teaching and learning, you are supporting quality learning, and of course that will support sustainability, right? So teachers need to be ready. What they need is clear signal and sample examples that can show that they can do it in their future classroom. So future teachers here, they should think about these different ways of creating more inclusive, interactive, and very collaborative, activities in the classroom and so on. So finally, what I would like to conclude with is this multilingual or translanguaging approach in education is one of the innovations, because innovation does not bring a big industry or kind of product. If you make some change on what you are doing today, that is an innovation. So creating something more innovative through social justice and inclusion and quality learning perspective will make sense for teachers to address the learning barriers of students. And this kind of pedagogy can be initial level intervention, because if students are poorer in different languages, mix those languages and support them towards learning. And one day they will have full fluency in all the languages. So that's why translanguaging or mixing languages in the very beginning could be an initial stage towards innovation and towards quality learning and towards sustainability. Because if I learn in my language, I will remember this for a long time. If I learn in other foreign languages, everything will be foreign, right? So let me connect my learning with myself. So that is how translanguaging works towards creating more realistic, sustainable, and social justice oriented learning environment. Thank you very much. I think I finished in 40 minutes. So if you have any questions. And I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizer. Thank you very much, madam and sirs, everyone here for inviting us to share our insights with you. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yeah.
Sir, in case of science education, as science is like research are going on in English, right? In case of high studies, when we when we study science at 11th or 12th standard, as I said before, that the terminologies in science, any kind of science, chemistry, physics, mathematics, biology, these are using very difficult Bengali words. And when we go for higher studies, it is very difficult for us to connect with the English terminology. So in that case, why don't we use in secondary and higher secondary level science education? As I said before, that if we keep the terminology in English, but we explain the whole process in Bengali or any kind of local language, why the policy makers don't use this strategy for science education?
Yeah, I think this is a very global question, and this kind of question is asked everywhere during our study. And some people still blame that why you want it to go back, not in English. Why don't you talk about strengthening English and other language? And the one more question was, we have never said that don't teach in English. The only thing we have said is, if there are students who have poor English or weaker English background, and you are teaching them in English and English and English, which creates fear, if you support them in their language, then learning will be better. So they will of course develop their English, no problem, no doubt. But to go towards a perfect English, you have to support them through their local language, the language they know now, and there is no barrier in learning English. So if you go to higher education, of course gradually when you go moving to the classes and upgrading, your English language and other language will be already stronger, right? Then you can choose one of the languages, which is English, because the higher education is in English. So there is no problem. The problem that we are raising now is, if there are any problems or challenges created by languages for children to learn and participate, access the information, teachers and all policy makers should be aware of this particular problem and support them in their language first. Okay? Once you support them, give us support, then they learn through the language, no problem. They will also continue learning through English. So their English will not be big by supporting them in their mother tongue. So that's why in higher education they go to English, no problem, right? They will learn in English, medium in English and everything. But in lower level, if you want to support them in their learning, also bring their languages. I think India government also says that primary education in mother tongue, right? Why not higher education in mother tongue? They are not saying that. They are saying primary education in mother tongue, and they are also not saying that don't teach English. They have allowed teaching in English, right? But if there are problems for children in their learning because of English language or other regional language, then support them in their mother tongue. That's the one thing. So science learning will not be affected negatively.
But sir, in case of my experience, I can say that when I shifted from a Bengali medium higher secondary school to a completely science education, which is being in English, that was a very difficult phase for me to make process myself in that shift. So I think that at higher secondary level, when we know that the student is going for graduation or post graduation, I think there should be teachers should be more focused on English. Like at the point of secondary level, we know our mother tongue very well and we know science very well. But the shift from 12th standard to graduation, I think we should focus on.
Yeah, they are saying, I think this is a valid question, and they are saying transitional language of medium of language. So they are using a transitional language to support students to cope with the higher education challenges linguistically, right? They are also talking about that, because what happened is, up to primary level, exclusively in mother tongue, then when they go to high school, you say grade 7, 8, 9, then there is more English. Less English in the primary level, more English in that above primary, and English only in the higher level, right? So there are 3 layers and transition through different languages towards English at the end. So that happens, and they are saying like that. In Nepal also we are doing the same. Because started primary level, we are focusing primary level, basic level in mother tongue, including teaching of English and Nepali. Then secondary education, more English medium than the Nepali medium, and higher education goes in English and Nepali. So I think this process has not created any problem, like I said. So it's working well. Okay. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you, Chef. Very nice explanation. I have one question. Now we live in a techno-feudal society. now we live in a techno-feudal society. Is there any connection of language there?
Yes.
And how we design the novel thought among students beyond fictionless interaction to intellectual disturbance?
Yeah, I think this is quite interesting area that we might look at in the future. But what we have thought now is they have started creating platforms in multiple languages. So the possibility now because of technology is if you give an input in English, you can see the output in all other languages which are there in the system. So that's why technology supported language learning here. Technology has been used increasingly in bridging languages. So, for example, for me, I don't know Bengali, but I want to know what this word is said in Bengali. I can just type in English and ask the AI or computer to translate into Bengali, and it tells me, so no problem. So they are doing this creating a multilingual platform, interactive platform where children can learn in any language. I can click English, all comes in English. I can click Bengali, all that content comes in Bengali. I can click in Hindi, all the content comes in Hindi. So if I feel difficulty in learning English, as she said, then I can go to Hindi platform, the same content. And I can even go to Nepal, same content. So I think technology has given a lot of opportunity for learning in these many different languages. So this is how technology can be connected with language learning. Yeah, I think that also improves the intellectual engagement of students in different languages.
So how we design the novel thought among students beyond fictionless interaction to intellectual disturbance?
I think this itself is intellectual interaction because you start with something and you start yourself and connect with machine in thinking different ways. So that is intellectual process. It's not mechanical, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's why connecting technology in language and content integration and interaction, interactive platforms creation in the webs, I think that will be again an intellectual engagement than a mechanical one, right? So that will not be a false thing, that will be realistic thing. Because the contents, the words, the meanings are given by people to the machine. And the machine will process what people have given to them. So that's how it will be more intellectual.
All type of perfection is essential or not?
Sorry?
All type of perfection of students is essential.
Perfection? I don't think there is we should expect for perfection. We should give them chance to make mistakes and then they will go towards perfection at the end. So let's not worry about creating mistakes. Let's worry about whether we are progressing from today, from yesterday's learning to today's learning. If there is a little change in your progress towards positive direction, I think this is a good learning. So you don't need to worry about perfection. Let's worry about the procedural engagement in learning.
Thank you, sir. Like divine pronouncements. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions? Oh, there's no more questions, right? Any more questions? No, right? Any more questions? No, right? Very good. Yeah. Anyone? Last question? Anybody wants to ask?
From would-be teachers, potential teachers. Okay, anyway, thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable experiences in the field of language studies to set the teaching learning process more effective. It's really an interactive presentation. Thank you once again. Now, we are going to hear from Dr. Moidul Islam, sir. Well, Dr. Moidul Islam is currently an assistant professor in the Department of International Business at Kenyan University, South Korea. He holds a PhD in Management Information Systems from Urju University, South Korea, a Master's of Science from Vishwabharati University, India, and an MBA from Minchuan University, Taipei, Taiwan. With over 17 years of teaching experience, Dr. Islam has taught at several prominent universities, including Yonsei University, Kokumen University, the University of Yuan, and Kenwon University. He has published numerous research papers in top-tier Q1 ranked SSCI, SCIE and Scopus Index journals. His current research interests include AI in business, mobile commerce, cross-cultural studies, blended learning, and the helpfulness of customer reviews. Beyond his academic work, Dr. Islam is actively involved in community building in South Korea. He is a founding member of Indians in Korea and a former president of the organization. He has been invited by the Embassy of India in Korea to engage with several distinguished leaders, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Defense Minister Rajnath Singh, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, former Minister of External Affairs Mr. Salman Khurshid, Kerala Chief Minister Pinari Vijayan. So, it's your turn.
Thank you. First of all, I'll not go with those formalities because I don't want you to fall asleep before I start my presentation. And I see a lot of sad faces, right? Because you're sitting here whole day. Huh? So my first question, this is more about engaging students, right? So my first question to you is, if I say Korea, what's coming in your mind? Yes, very good. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. Blackpink, okay, very good. Okay.
감사합니다.
감사합니다. Thank you. 안녕하세요. 안녕하세요 means hello. 감사합니다 means thank you in Korean. Nothing else besides BTS? Sorry. 사랑해요 means I love you. Korean. Yeah. This why I'm asking this question because when I start my class, I ask the same question to my students. What do you think about India? What's coming in your mind at the very first place? So, guess what they say? What they used to answer? If I ask my students, mostly Korean students, what's coming in your mind if I say India? And the first answer they say is Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal. And the second answers, you will see IT, information technology. And the third answer will be so many people. Yeah, food will come later on, but then say some of them, if we take the negative part of it, say cow. Yes. Yes, guru. So, why is so? Why is so? Because whenever they come to India, they see all around on the street here and there, you can see cow around us, which is almost impossible seeing in South Korea. Cows, you have to go to the zoo to see cows. And dog and cat and all those things, you will not see on the street. So for them, that was very special. So today, in this seminar, I would like to talk mostly about a technology, a tools that we use in the class. What we see today and talk about it, we are using it for long in the classroom. We do not use a paper-based attendance system. Instead, we use one application. So, this application called Smart Check, we just come in the class. And whoever in the class register for this particular class will get automatically attendance. So, we don't need to call anybody's name. It will automatically track your phone and give you attendance. And in 1 minute, the system will shut down. So whoever there in 1 minute will get attendance, and the rest will give it as absent. Now, anybody coming late can approach to the staff assistant, and we can manually change that. So we are really using technology there, and this application is directly connected to our Ministry of Education. So they can see how much students are coming there, and accordingly they grade the university. So hope in the future our university will adapt similar kind of system to give attendance at the same time. Now my another question to you is, anybody use Kahoot? Just one applications, or can have mobile app as well as desktop website. Anybody use it before? No, right? So the whole presentation is based on this, which is Kahoot as a tool to enhance learning for college students, the role of incentive, entertainment, and competition. Now, from the title itself, you should understand the teaching should not be boring. The teaching should be more fun, should be more entertaining, should be more engaging, and at the same time, should have some incentive. If you, Adam Smith says long back in 1776, he was a philosopher, he said that in nature, humans are lazy. If you do not give incentive, they don't want to work. Today you are here, maybe there is some incentive. It might be monetary benefit, or might be the internship benefit. You might pay to learn something new, so you are here today. Right? So humans by nature is lazy. We do attendance in the class. Why? If we do not do, students will come late, they don't come in the class. So coming to the class gives some incentive. They might get to appear in the exam. If they do not come, 70% absent, okay. You don't get a chance to give the test. So before I get into this, it is important to understand how the Kahoot works. Okay? So I'll come back to this presentation. Before that, I want you, everybody, to use the Kahoot app. And I have 5 questions, not questions. It's a kind of puzzle, you can say. And you know my name, right? Yes, yes or no?
Yes.
Because there's a question that we have that name. So let me go there. And unfortunately, only 50 students can join. So 2 together can make one group and then join. And I put okay, so I believe you have internet, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just scan this. Scan this QR code, and you can either scan this QR code or you can put the code, pin code. Yeah, just scan the QR code and put your name. First 50 students can join because it has limitation. In my class, I do not have more than 50 students. So, just 50, please join. These applications help us to engage, at the same time make us have some fun while studying. Right? Okay, very good. I can see some of the names there. Yes, quickly just join. The faster you answer, the better score you get. Yeah, they will automatically take those emoji. You can edit that. Okay? Another 2 minutes, please. Hurry up, please. This is a kind of pilot demo, and after my presentation, I'll have Kahut again to see how much you understand my presentation. Okay, very good. So we, as of now, we have 21 here, 22, 23. Yes, please try. Boys, come on. We need some male representation. Okay, very good. I think we should start, yeah? Everybody's in? 26, boys, also representation. We have more than 50 audience here. Okay, these are not a question that will change your knowledge. Okay, so it's a very basic image file that you should recognize. Okay, I think we are good. Let's start. Okay. Yes, hurry up, please. Yep. Go network. Next stage. Okay. Let me start. Okay. There could be multiple choice questions. So if there are two choices which is right, please select both of them. You have to guess the person.
হ্যালো হ্যাঁ বলুন না আমি গ্রামে আছি
Two more seconds, 1 second left. Yeah, so in that picture they have to engage more. And that's actually interesting part of this application. Let's go to the next one. The faster you answer, the better score you get. Okay, so 21 of them is okay, very good. So let's see how things are going. Now you see things have changed. Right. And these students have came up with the SU. Very good. Very good. Hope you hold the position. Okay? Because it keeps changing if you make a mistake or if you are slow. Let's go to the next one. Second, 10 seconds left. Okay, very good. I think most of you got this right. Only one has selected this. This was the wrong answer. And all three are the right answer. Very good. SU is gone. Right. So you have to be very cautious and careful and don't need to be too hurry, but you have to be consistent also. Now we have someone else here. Please, Vijay. Are you here? Vijay Kathy? Very good. Okay, very good. good. And I can see rest of them. And let's go the second, third last question. Very nice. It's a very simple question, right? Okay, Vipul, where is Vipul? Very good. Where is DJ? DJ, very good. Where is Rich? Where are you? Fourth. Okay, very good. Ananya, where are you? Very good. So 6 people actually answered right time. The 6 participants have reached answer strike at the same 3. Okay, second last question. Very good. Almost all got this right. Besides 3, so we want to get this right. Very good. Okay, right the same thing. These 2 are very, very close. 5855, 5884. Can just simply change within a second. Okay, last question for this whole thing. Okay, very nice. Let's see the champion. DJ, good job. Second, who is the champion? Okay, very nice. Okay, very good. I can hear some noise, I can hear some smile and laughing, which is a good part. So, education does not necessarily need to be boring, does not necessarily need to be pushed to engage. If I ask you, do you use Instagram? I think almost everybody uses Instagram and Facebook. Who told you? Does your teacher told you to install Instagram? No. Anybody told you to install Facebook? No. Then why you did? The reason behind is, it might be entertaining, it might be engaging, it might be fun, it might also bring some benefit to you. So these are the key for you to use in your class. Make your class more entertaining, more engaging, more incentive-wise class. That means what? At the end of the day, the students should get some benefit for coming to your class. If they don't get any benefit by coming to your class, they won't listen, neither they want to come to your class. Right? So this whole research work is based on that. So let me just quickly go through it. So these are the overall overview of my presentation today. I'll not go through everything because not necessarily need to go through everything. Depending on how you are taking, I'll just carry on with that. So, first part. Okay. So many times we say that we should not bring our smartphone in the class. We should not allow students to use smart devices in the class because it distracts them. But how about using that technology to engage them in the class? That should be good. There is in marketing we say give customer what they want and need. So as a marketer, they will always try to see what you need and want, and they will deliver to you. Now these are two terms called need and want. They are not same. Need means the basic necessity. Without those, you may not be able to supply, like food, water, shelter. Is the very basic need of human. But one is for fun, for hedonic type of product, fun type of product. Like if I say, do you want burger or pizza? Then you might say, oh, maybe I want pizza or burger. So I did not say, do you need? I said, do you need water? I said, do you need water? Because without water, you may not be able to survive. So do you need clothes? Yes, I need clothes. Within clothes, what do you need? What do you want? Then you say, oh, I want jeans, I want trouser, I want this. But clothes is a need. And jeans, trousers, other things are want. So technology nowadays is no more want. It's became a need of humans. Without technology, if I take away your phone, you will get mad. Oh, what happened? Where is my phone? Each and every second you look for your phone. The early morning you get up and check your phone first, instead of brushing and looking other thing around. So technology became our everyday life. So in our education system, we have to bring that into our education system. So that's why this topic and the theme of this seminar is really relevant in this world. So we're seeing this, maintaining students' attention and engaging in the digital age with constant distractions. Because of technology, you get messaging, you get something, you get distracted. How could we engage students into the class without get them distracted? So that's the key of today's presentation. We have to address that problem. So looking to that, okay, so how do the incentives, so the research question for this research topic, how do incentives influence students' engagement? So if we give incentives, we tend to see that students engage more. So in your class, incentive could be, in my class, how we do is at the end of each chapter, I give them a Kahoot test, just for fun. And I tell them a few of the questions will come in your exam. We set the midterm and final exam by ourselves. So we tell them that out of 20 questions, 2 or 3 questions will come in your midterm and final exam. Now students are very curious. Oh my God, I have to start taking pictures each question because they know that there is an incentive taking this Kahoot test. So they engage more. So in your class, in future when you go and teach, make sure the students get some incentive taking your Kahoot as well as your class. So once there is incentive, they automatically engage. You don't need to tell them. They will engage. Right? So you are doing BEd, right? That's your education. There is incentive. You get extra point for your job, right? And that incentive push you to learn. Without incentive, you don't learn. So make sure that in your class, students get some incentive, and then entertain values affect student engagement. Make sure the class is entertaining. Do not just simply have one-way communication. Engage students, ask them questions, listen to them, push them to answer and ask. We used to say, if you do not make any mistake, you are not learning anything new. So we tell students, please answer, make mistake. If you're making mistake, means you are learning something new. So if you are not making any mistake, that means you are not learning anything new. So encourage them to start, to answer questions, ask them to make mistake. There is no question which is silly questions. Every question is an important question. So push them, encourage them to ask questions. By doing so, they think and process everything in their brain and mind, and then come up with many different ideas. When we teach in the class, we tell students, how do you count? In our system, we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 like this, right? This chart. Why? Because they count like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I say, you know that Indians are smart. So why? Because in one finger one hand we can count 20. And you need 22 hands to count 10. Right? And so the idea of this is the same problem can be resolved in so many different ways. That's why you need to encourage students to talk and express. Because we never know, the one same problem can be moved into different directions and can come up with better solutions. So encouraging and engaging them could be a very interesting way to that. Does competitions element contribute to the student engagement? Just right now we saw, everybody wants to be at the top, right? On the screen, in the culture. Why? Because it created competition within you. And you want to see yourself at the top of the ladder. And that actually helps every student to engage. So there should be some level of competitions, but do not push too much, then they will give up. Okay? If I give you very difficult questions, nobody will be able to answer. And then they'll say, oh, what's the point? I don't know. So should have some competitions, but not too difficult one, not too hard, not too harsh. Right? And then does student engagement create the relationship between those gamification elements and academic performance? So if your class is entertaining, if your class gives you some incentive, if your class is competitive, it leads to engagement. And if students engage more, it leads to better academic performance. So that's the whole idea of this research. Yeah, so this is the research model. So competitions, entertainment, and incentive will lead to engagement. Engagement will lead to academic performance. So by doing these three, you will be able to see that students are engaged more, and at the end of the day, or at the end of the semester, we'll see they are performing better than normal, right? Can I go here? So these are hypotheses that I already explained, so I'll just go to the, so entertainment value will have positive influence on student engagement. So if your class is entertaining, it will increase engagement. If your class is have a competitive, positively influence the student engagement, and then if there is incentive, then it will increase engagement, and then engagement will lead to performance. So these are the four hypotheses that we learned for this, and these are the methodologies that I followed. The researcher was, professor was saying about this, the quantitative research methods was used, and I believe, I'm not sure how many of you are doing research or you will do research. In research, we have generally two methodologies, which is qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative research are based on words, based on stories, mostly interviews. methods are used. And quantitative research are numerical, based on numbers. Like, if I ask you like, how good is this shirt? Oh, very good. So the data I collect is not numbers, it's a word. Do you like ice cream? Said yes. This yes has no numbers. It's a qualitative thing. But when I say, what is your age? How much is your salary? How far is your house? You always give me a number. 42 years old, 21-year-old, how far, 12 kilometers away. You're giving me a number. So when you're collecting number, you're basically doing a quantitative research. But when you're collecting stories, when you're collecting words, emotions, you are basically doing a qualitative research. So qualitative research has which are two scale. There are two scales. About statistics, I don't want to go into there. Some nominal data and ordinal data. How good is your English? Excellent. Good. Average. Poor. Worse. So this is, you can put them in rank and order, but there are no numbers there. Right? So these are called ordinal data. Orders matter. So in future, maybe when we get into that, you will be able to learn those. So in this paper, we use quantitative research because we collected data, and then we use survey methods. And students are from international business and international relations, and we use Google Docs and offline paper based on the questionnaire. This was more of a pilot study. You can see only 87 students participated in this, and then we use a smart PLS. And a software. Anybody knows what this is? In social science, most of the researchers use SPSS, Statistical Package for Social Science, with the software, or EMOS, which is also a kind of similar with smart PLS. These are the software where we put the data and run the software to create the relationship. Okay? So anyway, so I'll just quickly not talk too much about the technical thing. We go to the next one. Okay. So this is the demography, and we can see the male and female very similar ratio. And this is the student population. So we had around 34% of the international students. Remaining was the foreign students. And yes, so this is the bootstrapping with the p-value that you can see. If the p-value is less than 0.0, yes, 0.05, then we call it statistically significant. Alright, so we can see most frequently like this. So, yeah, so this is the path coefficient and the t-value. Can you go to the next one? Yeah, so this is the values. And if you see the t-values are mostly more than 1.94. If the t-value is more than 1.94, we say statistically significant. So we can see these two, competitions and entertainment, have more than 1.9. So this one is not more than 1.9. So this was not statistically significant, whereas these two give us statistically significant, and this one definitely higher. So, next slide, please. So this is the table and the result that we get from our analysis. So we see the relationship between incentive and engagement. The t-value is 1.377, which is slightly lower than the significant level of 0.05. So that's the issue. So, but it is 10%. If you look at 10%, then it is significant. So, but if we look at 0.05, then it's not significant. And the rest of them give us a significant relation because the t-values are more than 1.946. So we saw that these other hypotheses are supported. So in summary and conclusions, what we see is that the entertainment value of Kahoot gamification significantly engagement. We saw in this audience out in this auditorium also, we see that how Kahoot engage us, and it's more fun type. Competitive natures of class gamification significantly boost engagement also. And finally, the Kahoot gamification significantly boosts engagement, which lead to the academic performance. So, for the implications, focus on competitions and entertainment. That's throughout my presentation, I was saying that we all need to make sure that students have fun in the class. It does not necessarily be something that has to be too funny. The teacher has to be creative. That's a very important part of teaching. And monitor engagement, strategy used for gamification, and psychologically safe approach. Do not put too difficult questions and they will be lost. Right? So that's the implication for these filters. And that's the limitation here because the sample size is very, very small and samples are taken only from my department, my college, which is from international relations. And samples were collected by self-reported staff evaluation. That's the limitation. Can I go to the next one? And that's it for these sessions. I want some questions from you. So who is going to go first? Question. As I said, no question is a silly question, right? So I want some questions from you, and I want you to make mistakes. Because if you make mistakes, you are learning something new today. So don't go without learning anything new here today. So I want some questions about it.
One of your slides says that the app is psychologically safe for competitive person. What about hyper-competitive person? Like I have lost in the quiz session and
I'll give you another chance because we have that question here. So don't worry about that. That's the slide that says do not push too much. We say when we set a goal, if your goal is too high to achieve, then what will happen? If I say that you have to get 100 of 100, it's too high for you. Now you prepare your best and you go into the class and you manage to get 95, but still you are missing somewhere. Then what you will do? You will find a wrong way to achieve that. So if your goal is too high to achieve, people to bribe, give money to get questions, lobbying, favoritism, and many other ways to achieve that. So that's why this app also says, do not put too difficult questions, do not make it competitive, then they will cheat you. They will try to see the slide or textbook or use ChatGPT or other way to answer the questions. So keep a moderately competitive environment to safe for everybody.
Another question is, as you said, this is the fees for higher education.
No,
and
yeah.
how could we implement in secondary education where people don't have, like students don't have or any access to smartphone technologies? How to implement this engagement in secondary school and high secondary?
That's the biggest challenge in India. Basically, we do not have enough infrastructures as well as internet. But that's not the case for South Korea. Each and every university, even the public transportation, all have Wi-Fi. And we use Giga Wi-Fi. Giga Wi-Fi means 124 Mbps per second, right? Here we use 100 Mbps per second, 100 Mbps. This is 10 times lower than what we used to. So technology-wise, infrastructure-wise, we have all these things there. So that's the challenge for Indian perspective. We do not have enough infrastructure. So, but because we do not have infrastructure, maybe somewhere around we can recharge one day and give Wi-Fi to the class and then just interact. Somewhere around we have to do it. Okay. I personally cannot solve this. We need government interventions into this so that we do not have much of digital divide. Some of other researchers are saying that. So that's, I understand the challenge is there. But this application is not only for higher education, it has also elementary school and other all functions are there. So you can have different kinds of games for different things. Only problem with the infrastructure. This side looks very shy. Why? I want a question from behind. I used to be sitting at the back side. So you are sitting at the back, you are actually a smart one. Well, I'm the smart one. So I want some question from you. Behind. Anybody? Any random question? Maybe outside of this. Anything else? Yes, Banglai. Banglai, you have, as our one of the presenters says, that a multi-language is important. So either you can speak in Bengali, or Hindi, or Korean, or Chinese. I speak Chinese also because I study in Taiwan, Taipei. So you can speak Chinese. Okay, okay, nobody has any question now, right? No question, right? So I'll give you a question. So we will do the second call. Yeah, well, because there's no questions, I'm going to give you some questions using the count again. Yes. I mean, I'll come back again to the Q&A session. If you have some questions, keep in your mind. So, yeah, once again, this is actually based on the presentation I gave today to see how much you learn. And, yes, can you make it speaker? Yeah, and this one I have incentive for you. Okay, Joy, please. There are only 14 questions, very simple questions based on the presentation today that I have. Okay, we see there are 42, 43, 44, 5, another 4 more can join. Maximum 60 can join. 47.
Incentive was paid and deployed.
Okay, very good. Now, what I say is actually incentive work. Alright? Before I had 31. Now I have 48. So you see how incentive plays a very important role in all cases.
Yes, sir.
Because you have incentive, that could be one. And second, you know how to use the technology now. So that could be another reason for you. Oh, yeah, very surprised. Very good. Okay, now let's start. Okay, let's start. Okay, your question start now. How well the questionnaire was distributed? You have only 16 seconds now. Four seconds, 3 seconds, 2, 1. Go. Very good. You see 50% of the students have listened and 50% did not listen. Which one you want doing, right? That's good to see actually most of you. Okay, very good. I'll not ask who is this because I strongly believe this will change very soon. There's always 4 questions I'll ask who was the top. Those are my students, teachers. Hey, very good. Impressive, very nice. Okay, taking very good. Double point. Okay, nice, not bad. 34 of you got it right. Okay, very good. Oh no, all the way from Mikey. Who is this? Who are you? Very good. Okay, that's again he or she is in this list. Very good. Very good. Number 3, who are you? Where are you? Very good. Please do where are you? Oh, okay. Okay, very good. This will change, I believe, because still we have 10 more questions. This is like quantitative research, right? I asked this question. Sophia, where are you? Very good. Where are you? This one?
Hello.
Last one, are you here? Okay, very good.
Hello.
There are 14 questions, so we are done with 6.
Hello. From Chennai, get down the
This is the 7th question. Okay, we take another new face here. Pratima, are you here? Okay, very good. Very nice. There is a person called John Lee. You are doing good. You can come on the ladder. You're there. He's trying. Okay, double point. You have double point. So hurry up to get into the ladder. Very good. True false question. We are 4 minutes late. Okay, second last question. Okay, last question. Okay, Normally, where are you? The last one, Normally. Anybody here with this name? Good to see you, evangelist. This is the last question. Try your best. see who is the champion. Okay, Dolly, where are you? Where are you? Okay, please come over. Very good. Everybody, please come over. Please champion. Top three, please come over here. Reach, reach. Please come over. So you have achieved something, so you can get there. And next one is Pia. Pia, where are you? Okay, please come over. Sarvada. I'll ask Saurav Mandal to do the. Very good, actually. Okay, I'm sorry I had only three, so I could give only three. But good work. One more important thing that I want to say. Okay. So you see, once you teach the content and put the question here, it helps you to revise if you know it. If you don't know it, you get to know what is important about that particular chapter. So that helps you to prepare for their future exam. And another thing I would like to tell you, and I want you to do it in your future if you become a teacher. Each and every chapter will have only one or two key points. Everything revolves around those key points. So make sure that students take that home by going to your class. In this presentation, there are only three key points. One is entertainment, engagement, and incentive. That increase engagement, that leads to academic performance. So all the questions revolve around that. So as a teacher or future teacher, your duty to make sure each chapter has a key point. Make sure the students understand that. Rest they will follow. To make sure, like if we watch a movie called Three Idiots, what's the takeaway from that movie? If we watch Dangal, the girls are equally important like boys. हमारी छोरियां क्या सब है क्या छोरे से? That's the key of that whole movie. If you think सारे जमीन पे, what's the key? That you should treat kids differently. They may not be equally capable to that. So that's the key of that whole movie. So each chapter they will have one or two key essence. Please make sure students get that and take that home. That's it for my end. If you still have some question about BTS, about kimchi, about other things, South Korea has LG, Samsung, Kia, Hyundai, all their companies. If you have any question, feel free to ask me or feel free to write me an email. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so supportive.
Well, thank you for this interesting session. Now, we are going to the paper presentation session. For that, we have 5 presenters. 3 from them physically present their paper and 2 present their paper to virtual mode. First paper presenter is Ritika Hajra. She is a student of Purba Medinipur B.Ed College, and her title of the paper that she is going to present is Valuing Diverse Minds, Pedagogical Approach to Teacher Education for Autism Inclusive Classrooms in India. So, Ritika, the podium is waiting for you. Oh, sure, why not? The chairpersons, three chairpersons. So please come to the stage. Well, for paper presentations, we have three chairpersons. First of all, Professor Dr. Petraj Acharya, then Dr. Prithvishar Patil, and last but not the least is Dr. Moidul Islam sir. So, Ritika, please. Ritika, you will make only 5 minutes for your presentation. Okay.
Hello.
What time is this? 5 p.m. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin with a classroom story, not from a textbook, but from a popular Indian movie. As I said, everyone remember the movie Tare Zameen Par, right?
Yeah.
We all remember Ishan, right? The boy with dyslexia, struggling with his reading and writing problem, and misunderstood as lazy, careless, disobedient. And one day, until one teacher in his school, Ram Shankar Nigum, who finds that he has a slightly different learning style and helped him to find his own way of learning. But nowadays, in our classrooms, it is not very easy to find such empathy, such patience, and such understanding. On that note, today I'll be talking about valuing diverse minds, a pedagogical approach to teacher education for autism inclusive classroom. So neurodiversity is a natural difference between how people behave, how people learn, and how people think. Cases or conditions like autism spectrum disorder and ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and dyslexia are not problems or are not diseases. So these are some neurodiversity, and this is an autistic person. I would say he or she is not a patient. Rather, he is a person the way he is. So we cannot change them or we cannot cure them. But in a running world, in a education system, syllabus-heavy education system where students are running for marks and good score, we can make it easy for them to learn and to know the concept about each subject in an easy way. So in that case, In Indian context for autism and inclusive education, the numbers are 6 in 68 children and male to female ratio is 3:1. Though Right to Education Act and Sharva Shiksha Abhiyan says that inclusive schooling is needed for child with autism, ADHD and dyslexia, but in socio-economic barriers, there are limited access for early diagnosis. There are some excellent care centers for autism and there are some excellent research centers for autism like Indian Autism Center, which is located in Shirapur near Kolkata. But at the very rural level or grassroots level, still many children remain undiagnosed and they take admission in regular school where we teach. So we as a future teacher or as trainee teacher, we must be aware about those conditions so that we cannot we can actually identify a slow learner and a autistic child or ADHD or dyslexic child with dyslexia. There are some myths and misconception in India about autism that this is a disease, this is not a disease, this is a neurodevelopmental condition or neurodevelopmental disorder. There are a difference between disorder and disease, which I don't have that much of time to differentiate. And they say that autism is caused by poor parenting, though autism is present in a child from birth. So no, it is not caused by any external factors like vaccine or bad parenting. And they say that autism has a cure. So I don't think that cure is the appropriate word for autism, as it is not a disease. A disease needs cure. But when you are differently able or when you are different from an average person, you need much more help or support to survive in a running world. So autistic child are not patient. Autism is a new thing that didn't exist back then because Gen Zs are more aware about their mental health and their communication style. So I think the awareness has increased, so the diagnosis has increased and numbers are visible. And the numbers are more prominent in compared to the older patients. So classroom observations and field observations have said when a child with autism or ADHD or dyslexia, they take part in a mainstream classroom, they are mainly ignored and misunderstood as slow learners or disobedient or inattentive in class. But in the real reason of them being inattentive is because teachers don't use visual aids and structured routines, which might have helped the autistic child or might have helped the dyslexic child. And in a regular classroom, teachers use individualized education plans very clearly. Sorry. That's why it is very difficult for an autistic child to learn in a regular classroom. And here's the need to train a teacher, regular school teacher, and the training must be started with the changes in teacher education. The changes would be in pedagogy, in curriculum, in assessment, and there should be some collaborative training. Pedagogical reinformation includes that teachers should be trained with activity-based method, case study-based training, longer internship, and demonstration by teacher educators in inclusive classroom. We learn so many theories from different thinkers like Piaget, Freud, Jung and all. But when we go in a real inclusive classroom, we often feel the need that maybe our teacher who train us, if they have demonstrated us that how to behave in an inclusive classroom or how to communicate with diverse students or how to manage different kind of behavior, we have learned much more than we learned from a textbook or from that heavy theory. I'm not saying that theories are not important. They are important. They shape the whole method, but we need some practical demonstration so that when we are going in a real classroom, we can use them as a teaching method. The curriculum reorientation, I feel that there should be a mandatory modules on psychology, neurodiversity, neuropsychology and neurobehavior which would be focused on classroom observation rather than medical diagnosis. I'm not going to be a doctor or I'm not going to be a psychologist, but as a teacher, I would be a future counselor for my students, right? So I have to have that ability to identify between a slow learner and a child who has learning difficulties. So these identification I think I could make when I have those foundational knowledge of behavioral characteristics, sensory sensitivities, communication style and learning patterns. If I find out that a student is just a slow learner, she or he may need some time to learn something, and if I differentiate a student who has learning difficulties, then I can refer the autistic child for further diagnosis, right? And I do believe that a shift from theory-heavy syllabus to case study-based activities is really needed for the BA course or for the teacher education course. And assessment beyond examination, obviously, as I say that we write so many theories in the exams, we get so many marks for exams, but that doesn't define me as a good teacher, right? I would only be a good teacher when I have the ability to observe student behavior, when I will be flexible in my teaching method for neurodiverse classroom, when I am supportive to my students' growth, and when I more powerfully analyze each case study. And of course, there should be some collaborative training with psychologists, special educators, counselors and therapists to better understanding of student behavior and learning needs. These are some practical classroom strategies to be followed in an autistic classroom, like using visual aids and structured organized routines. So, inclusion is a teacher is the main key to inclusion. When I, as a teacher, can value the differences, value the different minds, value the different thinking pattern and learning pattern, I would be more able to reach out to every student in my class, right? So here I conclude that inclusion depends on teacher preparedness and not in the policy. When a teacher education itself is inclusive, then I can create an inclusive classroom and I can teach in an inclusive classroom. So when teachers are trained, future teachers are trained to value the differences, I think they create an environment where no student feels left out, where every mind matters. And that, I think, is where true education begins. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you, Ritika. Is there any question for Ritika? Is there any question for
Thank you for your insightful presentation. If you have to summarize your whole presentation in one sentence, how could you do it? So, yeah, one sentence. What should we take away from your presentation?
I think respecting the diversity, I believe that there is nothing called normal. Every human brain is wired differently, so I can say that this is normal and this is abnormal. I don't like to say that autistic child is abnormal. No, he's not. He's just different from me. So respect the diversity and being a good teacher, you have to be sensitive and you have to be more empathic. Thank you.
Well, I think Professor Dr. Sejrat Acharya has a question.
Your presentation is related to special education. Can you explain inclusive education and special education?
who are differently abled. The word used is handicapped, so I don't like to use it. Who are differently abled and autistic child do need special education. But at the grassroots level in India, some parents doesn't know that their child is autistic or their child has ADHD or their child is dyslexic. They just think that the student is careless or he is lazy or he is just doesn't like to study. So that's why they are very ignorant about them and they take admission in the regular school. So my goal was to teach the regular teachers.
Thank you. And one quality for me. Inclusive education for all or it's how you think about it. Inclusive education for all or it is me. It is only me. What is your argument?
Of course, inclusive education is important. I just most specifically talked about autistic persons, but there are some slow learners, right? When I go to my inclusive classroom, that means that there are some slow learners and there are some quick learners. But I need to manage or pick the perfect speed so that all the students can match with my speed of teaching. Thank you.
I don't have any question. I have a compliment for you. Through your presentation, I can feel that you have very strong motivation to do something in artistic autism area. So I hope you will make some contribution in the future through your research and your dedication.
Of course, autism is my specific.
Very much helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think, is there any question from audience to Ritika? I think no. Well, next move on the second paper presenter, Shondeep Kumar Bera, who is a research scholar, Department of Education, Patna University from Bihar. And the title of his paper is Curiosity and Academic Burnout, a co-relational study of BA teacher training in Bihar. And Shondeep, your time will start.
Hello. Thank you, ma'am. Audible. First of all, good evening, all the chairpersons of the technical session, and all the listeners and all the teachers, educators. And I am delighted to share my research paper, the part of the research paper there, shared with all the great academicians. And the title you have seen on the screen, that curiosity and academic burnout, the co-relational study of BA teacher training. It is related to youth and the prospective future. Now, there is the theoretical framework. First of all, that the curiosity is nothing but is like desire that comes from the acquire new knowledges and experiences, and is driven by the intrinsic motivation to explore and learn. Another side, the academic burnout, it is contributed by the prolonged stress and detachment and the imbalance of your academic life. That's why, and the research shown that the teacher's training, experience more burden in the teacher training program by the burden of assignments, burden of lesson plans, and the time limits, and then after 6 months is the exam. And this makes the burden and it leads to the cognitive load, different types of cognitive load of the teacher's training. That's why this is the framework. And that I think that the teachers training, those who are mastered in the subject and they are accustomed to that subject for since last 3 or 5 years, and after that the graduation, and they have suddenly enrolled in BEd, and lots of different kinds of subjects that are not suitable for the every kinds of teachers training, and it leads to the academic burnout. This is the theoretical framework, and this is the result of study. We study that because the curiosity leads to the less academic burnout, I see that, and conversely academic burnout can under my curiosity, emotional exhaustion. This is the rationale of the study. Due to the time limit, due to this is the quantitative research paper. That's why this is the operational definitions of the key terms very important. There are the main three operational definitions social curiosity, thrill seeking. These the 5 dimensions of the curiosity that talk about the Carlson et al. In 2018. And the academic burnout, in the research paper, academic burnout, we try to quantify the detachment, lassitude, and the optional inefficiency of the teacher. Moreover, we talk about the academic burnout of the teacher. But we see that the academic burnout also see in the teacher's training because of their students have lots of kinds of mathematics, science, and we are all from the different kinds of subjects, not related to that particular subject. And teacher training, we know that teacher training is of B.Ed, but in the case of my research, teacher training is for B.Ed in B.Ed. Objectives, here the main major 2 objectives, potential demographic variations, that is the type of institutions and gender, and investigative correlation relations. On the basis of objectives, there is a 6 hypotheses. I want to go through that. Research methodology, this is the quantitative, non-experimental, descriptive correlation research, and the sample is 452 teacher trainees from different kinds of different states of the Bihar. And the tool is, there is a 2 tools. One is academic burnout inventory. The academic burnout inventory is self-made by me, and it is developed and standardized on the teacher side. And the 5-dimensional curiosity, Carlson et al. 2020 is adapted and changed into the regional Hindi languages and used it for the research. This is the curiosity profiles. We know the curiosity, but there is according to the Carlson et al. Curiosity, 4 kinds of curiosity profiles and difference in engaged thinkers and sentimental thinkers. This is the curiosity profile with the magnitude of the dimensions, joyous exploration, depression, sensitivity, stress, and social sensitivity. This is the hypothesis testing with the t-test, and we see that the academic burnout and curiosity, male, female, and government.
Shoni, your time is up, so please conclude.
We are waiting for the whole day for 5 minutes.
I know, but you have to understand there is a shortage of time.
Major findings is the findings is that there is a significant difference in male and female teacher trainings, what in the case of curiosity and academic burnout, but no significant relationship in curiosity and academic burnout for the government and private B.Ed colleges. And in the correlation,
Your presentation is a case of difference in curiosity preference between male and female. Thank you. Why that?
there you know, the 4 kinds of curiosity profile, fascinated and the problem solver. They have the kinds of 5 dimensions of the Carlson et al. That means joyous explorations and the test tolerance. The 2 dimensions of the curiosity is high in the fascinated and problem solver, whereas in the empathizer the social engagement is more. That's why avoidance and is always not actively participating in the class. That's why the 2 are positively correlated and negatively.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So I'm going to carry out the question based on what you okay, my question is that what is your main problem so that you are motivated to carry out this area in one sentence? What what is your main problem that you want to study this area?
Sir, the problem with the teacher studies that talk about that teacher studies have come from the one subject master. But in the 2-year training program, they are always go through the different kinds of subject in 2 years. When the teachers would identify their curiosity, what are the dimensions of the particular student, then we suggest to go to the planner, policy maker or the create curriculum, then what with that type of curiosity.
Then, what is your favorite idea that you generate in your study? What is your favorite idea, key idea that you found in your study?
In this research paper, mainly we're talking about the correlation. That means what is the partial and multiple correlations. What are the ultimately there is the existence of the relationship of the curiosity and the academic part. So there are two different kinds of psychological correlations. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Shobit. Next presenter is Purba Medinipur, who is a research scholar from Department of Education, Mizoram University from Mizoram, and the title of a paper is Strategies of Prospective Teachers for Implementing Peace Education. Well, you have just tried to finish your presentation within the limited time. Due to the shortage of time, and I will
Mention findings on you.
Okay. So let's start.
I am the last student. I am more on my topic is strategies of positive teachers for implementing peace education. Lots of problems we face every day, like political problems, qualifications, religious issues, social problems, community problems. So, if we establish the peacemaking strategies in our education field, because the Sustainable Development Goal 4 already talk about quality of education and Sustainable Development Goal 16 talk about peace. Peace means peaceful nations. So, if we establish the peace strategies in our education field, so we can be our nation peacefully and make our society peacefully. So, on the spatial perspectives of this studies at the Viksit Bharat 2047, as a future teacher, how they aware about these things, how they aware about this matter, because they are a crucial and vital agent to cultivating the peace and change our world, change our society. So our studies focus on this. So rational of the study also I mentioned about matter. And the research questions are: how do perspective teachers plan to incorporate cognitive strategies to promote peace education in Viksit Bharat at the 2047? How do perspective teachers plan to incorporate social strategies to promote peace education in Viksit Bharat 2047? And how do perspective teachers plan to incorporate psychomotor strategies to promote peace education at the rate 2047? And the research multimedia qualitative research design. Researcher used focus group discussion and interview for collecting the data, and sampling the event was conducted with 100% prospective teachers, sampled from different creative districts of West Bengal like Kolkata, Howrah and South Chব্বিশ Pargona. The focus group discussions conducted on 5 groups, each group lies 6 to 7 teachers. So, as per interview and focus group discussions, researcher categorized the strategies of these into 3 categories: cognitive strategy, socio-emotional strategy, and psychomotor strategy. Cognitive, we can see that the cognitive strategies is very low, socio-emotional strategies is very high. They think about that socio-emotional strategies means empathy, behavior, and associative teaching, reciprocal teaching, cooperative teaching. So they think that on the behalf of socio-emotional strategies, they can establish the peace. They can establish the peace effectively. Then the cognitive strategies. So,
Please.
okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't mind. Well, do you have any question for Mo? So, Moidul sir, do you have any question?
First of all, we are sorry because we could not give you enough time. We have taken your time, so sorry about that. And because of the time constraint, I won't ask any questions. But I would just suggest you in future, if you make presentation, try to remove text, too much text on a PowerPoint slide. It's not the right method of PowerPoint slide. So please give only the bullet points.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mo. Now we have only 2 paper presenters who are going to present their paper in the virtual mode. First, Dr. Longchamp Premi Devi, Assistant Professor, International Education Department, College of Humanities and Liberal Arts, University of Shillong. And another one is Naupam Vidhan Chandra Singh, Assistant Professor of Department of Global Business, International College, Tong Yong University. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, am I audible? Hello? Sir, am I audible? I can't hear. Hello?
Professor Vidhan, can you hear us? Speak, Mr. Vidhan, can you hear us? Professor Vidhan? Wait, somebody just text chat to my people.
Hello? Well, on the behalf of the chairperson, I would request Professor Vidhan Chandra Singh, Assistant Professor, Department of Global Business, Wilson International College, Tom University. So please deliver your paper, but we have a shortage of time, and therefore you will get 5 minutes for your presentation. So please start your speech or the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope I am audible there. Okay, so once again, good afternoon, good evening, Victoria, from the Idaho. Translation in Bengali, I intentionally put it there because this is a tool that which we can use in terms of learning and giving education to diverse students. And since I'm aware that the conference is held in Goa, so I just try to put the subtitle in Bengali because I don't speak Bengali. But of course, the conference is in English. But just to share that how technology can elevate our teaching and learning. Okay, so my topic is transforming higher education, where we can integrate teaching, technology, and artificial intelligence, where we can create smart learning ecosystems. So basically, I use certain tools in providing education. So my presentation has been divided into certain topic area, like introduction, then some of the background, the challenges we have, then how we understand students, and then what kind of method we use and the tools. So first of all, in introduction, as we can see that we are now in the artificial intelligence era. So 21st century, say, the information age. The last 4 or 5 years, we have seen the rise of, the increase in use of artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, or Gemini, or Perplexity, or many other AI tools. Now, how do we use these artificial intelligence in our learning, teaching and learning ecosystem? And apart from that, we also have other tools like cloud platforms, and then a few other collaborative tools, and our learning management systems. We all combine this together and enhance the learning outcomes. So this is the purpose of my main presentation. Let me begin by first trying to share what are the challenges we face when we are dealing with students, because students right now are all equipped with all this technology, and it has become very important for the teachers community to also learn about these tools and know how to use it and how to prevent students from using excess use of artificial intelligence. Okay, so let me pause for a moment here and let me just remove the subtitle. I just use it because I want to share to everybody how we can use these tools as well. So just give me a few seconds. All right, so, I was talking that my presentation is divided into 2 sections, specifically how student management and how we apply technology. So first, let me go up through some of the challenges we have in managing the student. Now, My presentation is mainly focused on the situation here in South Korea. My universities, and not only my university, many universities in Korea now are dealing with international students. So there are problems, issues about language and literacy barriers. That is why in the beginning of my presentation, I use the subtitle when we are having students coming from different cultural backgrounds where the language are not very much advanced. We can use these tools for imparting the education. Then another issue we found is the pedagogical expectations from students, like students coming from South Asia, students coming from the Central Asia, from Eastern Europe. They all have different learning styles. And then students also have issues and perceptions about academic integrity in the assessment. These are some of the challenges we have. Apart from that, we are dealing with international students, so they have cultural misunderstanding, mental and health, wellness issues, and overall they also have this social isolation because they are not very difficult to integrate into society. These are some of the challenges we are facing when we are dealing with international students. And then students carry on this problem, like they don't have proper study materials and diverse learning styles. The contents they are taught here in the programs are very depth, which they find it very, very difficult. About all this, one of the biggest challenge we face is students, their interests and the major they choose are very different. So these are some of the problems which we normally, in the last 6-7 years, we are facing delivering education to the international students. And then in order to improve these challenges, to solve these problems, we can lay down some of the action plans, for example, by enhancing the engagement of students, by creating diverse learning or teaching methodology, providing simple content delivery, and also increase critical education. Now, all this is possible if we also adapt to the tools, which we have right now. Most of these things are freely available tools. So, in order to improve the teaching and the learning, where this conference is about, there are many multiple things which I can see in today's topic. Teacher education, rethinking the pedagogy, teaching the technology, assessment versus all futures. So, few suggestions which we find among our faculty communities delivering content delivery, which are divided into different modules, and second principles, and then during our teaching operation, we normally include quizzes and session forms by using certain tools like Kahoot, which is a very, very interesting app. Of course, it's not free, but it creates motivation for the students, it creates a learning environment interest to the students. Then we provide multiple case studies which are more related with their cultural backgrounds, which also stimulate their interest in more learning, and also by providing visual aids. Okay, then different teaching methods which we can adopt are blended learning, active learning techniques, or flipped classroom, and then effective practice. Among these, flipped classroom has been found to be very effective, where normally in South Korea, how we use these tools, cloud, like cloud, Google Drive, OneDrive, and other available apps using integrated through our learning management system. So,
just go to the conclusion section here. Yes.
So this is what when we are going to use artificial intelligence, but there are some guidelines how to use artificial intelligence. Normally we educate to the students and the modeling, and then how we can make students adapt to this new. Thank you very much, Professor Madu.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me, Michael? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Just go with the objective and conclusion.
Okay. The time is not be taking up more time. Yeah, first, I've given my PPT and submitted, so those script would be, very important parts. So I will be wrap up very quickly. Right? Yes. First, my name is Dr. Frankie. I'm right now working at the Assistant Professor in the International Education Department, College of Humanities and Liberal Arts in University of Suwon.